Corey take the intro video out of He took the intro video out of here. I have to do this manually now.
Uh-oh.
It's a Bitcoin podcast. The only one that's making your money is you. Listen to the Bitcoin podcast. So hold on and listen to the Bitcoin podcast.
Hey, I know y'all weren't ready for that. Anyways, we're hoping the audience was. Welcome back to everyone who sees this or listens to this on Spotify. We know a lot more of you are listening than watching, and I don't blame you because, Corey's ugly, and you probably don't want to look at Corey. But the good thing is Corey's not here for this episode. It's just Jesse and I, and we're we're going to be interviewing two members of the Georgia statewide mesh coalition. Welcome to the show, Kenneth and Josh.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Awesome. So, I'm the kind of person that knows very little about what we're about to talk about. Right? I know I have a mesh network in my home because that's what it said on the box when I bought my router. Orbi Wi-Fi 7, by the way. Shout out. So I don't really know what a mesh network is. I kind of feel like people think I know, but that's just because I hang out with like Jesse and Corey and they know. So like, I guess at a very basic level to those like, ignorant like myself, what is a mesh network?
So
First of
Mesh-
all, I'm the ugly one here too, so don't worry. There's plenty of ugly. Mesh is better defined by Ken here, though.
So
Who was about
mesh is it is a way of creating a decentralized network that is not reliant on existing infrastructure, and it improves the ability to deliver messages over a broad range of conditions easily. So if you think about it, look at a fishing net. You've got a whole bunch of knots that are bound together and form a mesh. All a mesh is it allows traffic to look at, okay, I need to get from point A to point B. Let's see, how do I do that? Oh, well, this knot says that it can talk to this knot can talk to this knot, and then, oh, there's our final destination.
Okay. So it's not the most efficient way to transfer data, but it's just trying to get from point A to point B.
Correct.
Yeah, and you know how, of course, nets have holes in them in places, so it's trying to route itself to where it can actually get to where it needs to. And yeah, sometimes it does through flooding protocols. Some are set up to more directly or try the more direct route first, and then flood it out.
Okay. So then like what makes the robustness of the net if we're using that analogy, right? Like I can have a little tiny net and I can catch some catfish maybe in my pond, or I can have a giant big ass heavily fortified, triple threaded net that maybe could catch like a orca whale or maybe a beluga or something, right?
Yeah,
So
definitely. Go ahead, Ken.
So it really relies on your infrastructure and people around you. So you can take, and if you have a small mesh that's just, friends and family, it'll work, but it's not going to be resilient because the part of the mesh that makes it as so resilient is the multipath routing, to where it's going to do everything it can to find its way to its destination.
Got it.
So now
So
with the analogy with the net here, and you're talking about big rope, small rope, obviously would be your push through on what you can do and what you can push through. Mostly what we're dealing with is the low bandwidth stuff, which is going to be the more resilient and be able to get there in the time of emergencies and things like that.
Got it. Got it. So Jesse's actually calling in on a mesh network right now. So that's why he keeps dropping off and on. No, we're having some connectivity issues out there in Jesse way. But so okay, so like the I guess the bigger the net, the more pass through you said you have. Okay, so that's good. So is there a point at which like, hey, this is way too much data to move over this mesh network? It's just not possibly gonna work.
Yeah, absolutely. There'll be different amounts, how many nodes are there, and how much can be pushed through.
Interesting. And so Jesse, I know that you kind of stumbled upon the coalition when you were doing. Um, I can only say that you have like Dexter's lab equivalent of like you have Jesse's lab, and you're always running things, and that's the way I see it now. I'm like every day you're doing something different. That's like way over my head. So I don't want to interrupt you like Dee Dee interrupted Dexter all the time. So I just kind of let you do your thing. But Jesse, can you tell kind of story how you found the coalition? You were talking about a little bit before we went live.
Yeah, so let's see if this hotspot holds. Um, so this was interesting to me because um, the kind of work that we used to do at IFT, which was the previous organization that you, myself, and Corey still works there, but they were looking into how to do private messaging, right? And one of the things that was interesting to me about the Meshtastic protocol was the ability to do private messaging, like encrypted messaging. And this existed outside of the traditional telco infrastructure, right? So that was something that was interesting to me because as we're looking for, like in our industry, or at least in the blockchain industry, we were originally um, very idealistic. It was very cypherpunk in the beginning. It was more so trying to build systems outside of systems. Um, but I think a lot of the industry has realized the foundation of communication is always going to go through some sort of Cisco switch, or some one of the tier one or tier two telco providers in the U.S. It's going to be terrestrial. It's going to go through sea pipelines. It's going to hit the 5G towers. It's going to hit the fiber lines that were laid down in the 90s. It was interesting to me because mesh networks offer a different value proposition. And that said, I think like these guys were telling you before, it doesn't support the same amount of data throughput. So that's a limitation. But when you're talking about private messaging, it seems interesting, especially in the context of like the protocol like Waku. So Waku was the decentralized messaging protocol that was designed for doing peer-to-peer messaging for a chat app that was actually supposed to be something akin to WeChat, not the Chinese WeChat, but WEE chat. And so, yeah, that was kind of why I was going down the rabbit hole in terms of trying to see what was out there, and in terms of different methods of communication that were more secure, potentially more robust, and that's what led me to running into these guys.
All right. So can I tell you
Nice.
guys why I got here?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I am in a medical profession myself. I work at a hospital night shift. And so, emergencies kind of my thing. And I had the great benefit of working the night of the Helene hurricane as it passed through South Georgia. And I'm a father of 5 kids and a loving wife as well. And we, of course, with me being there at the hospital that night shift, it's near impossible for me to get too much as far as attention to them and the worry that's there. Well, of course, through that night, I was in the well-sheltered hospital, but my family wasn't, and I'm worried about them. And for a little while, I was able to communicate with them through the cellular and phone and internet and things like that. But then there came a time when all that went down. You know, everything was pretty much cut for one reason or another. And of course, the hospital has electricity for all of its emergency stuff. But then at that point, I had to sit and work my shift until the next individual came along. And unless they get there, I can't leave. It's one of those posts that if you're there, you can't leave. Well, that morning, I had having no contact with my family since about midnight that night. Didn't have any clue what was going on with them. And then it took until about 11 o'clock, which I normally leave around 7. So they wouldn't have known what was going on with me. And of course, I had no clue what was going on with them. And the severity of everything was, you know, threefold of what we had thought it was going to be at that point. And so it took me to about 11 o'clock. I started going. I didn't have any of this communication stuff other than my cell phone, and, you know, was worried to death about my family. It took me a while to get there and had to go in between down trees and everything. And yeah, surprisingly, nothing on my property was falling, except for maybe a couple of pine cones. So I received the blessings there with that. You know, I was thankful for that. But then that also gave me that call to reality of, you know, what if it had been different, you know, and started me searching down the rabbit hole of the communications and what I would need to have in place to make sure I can communicate with my family. And of course, the routes that everyone goes there are the ham radio route, amateur radio, and then you know, CB and GMR. And all of those were taking more time than I had possible. Then in searching the internet, found the old IoT stuff and what they were moving it through, and this, you know, new thing called Meshtastic. So I purchased a couple of those and tried to figure them out, and found out I didn't have anybody around. And you know, so I was trying to communicate with others, but there weren't any there. So I just had mine and the device. I was living with my wife, and I live about 17 miles apart from you know, my place of employment. So it was going to take me a couple of hops. So I needed to start finding people. And I started finding those people all over Georgia. None of them were in my hometown of Vidalia. And so I was like, well, I've got to figure something out. So then I saw that there were quite a few people on the Discord and Meshtastic stuff going there, and tried to figure that out, and saw that North Georgia had a great mesh network going on. But I also have family quite a few cities over. So I said, well, we need to do something to get everybody kind of on that same protocol, figuring out exactly how it is we're all going to connect. And that's when I met Matt and Ken, and both of them were doing the same thing over in Savannah, and then found a couple more Hans and some other fellows through the Discords. And luckily, we I don't know how, but I convinced them all to kind of get into this coalition thing, and said, hey, let's try to start gathering folks to get on that same page and get things in order. And then that was beginning of the year, and we keep coming, and hopefully into the future we'll actually have something that resembles close to, you know, your major networks, but all in that free category of that passing information freely.
Man,
So that's kind of my
a cool
story.
That's a cool story, man.
Yeah,
It shows like most things, like it generated from a need, like a real need. You're like, hey, I need to talk to my family,
Right.
and so that that's was a catalyst for you to get into this Meshtastic thing. Is it like theoretical? Like if the mesh network were dense enough in every state, you could send a message from like Georgia to Cali, and
With Meshtastic, it's not going to be possible in the route that they have things set up. There
oh, okay.
are ways around that and tunneling that can happen through the internet, but as far as completely radio, it becomes kind of a harder thing to accomplish. But that's one reason why I have Ken here, is to help me know where my limitations are and what it is that I need to kind of focus on, and then I try to throw him the hard questions every once in a while and get him to do a couple of things that others aren't thinking about. Throwing plastic into the window or whatever.
I thought it was spaghetti into the wall. Seeing what
That might be it. Yeah, absolutely.
That's how you know when your spaghetti's done, right? You throw it at the
It-
side of the fridge.
That's right. Al dente, right?
Yep. At least that's what my mom taught me. Um, so Ken, that was an excellent segue there. From Josh, how did you get into the coalition? Besides what we already know, which is Josh and reeled you
So,
into the coalition, but how'd you get into Mesh and
so
all
it's
the
not
above?
nearly as interesting a story. So I work in public safety. I have for 2 years just about now. And one of my coworkers came to me one of these days and said, "Hey, I found this cool thing on YouTube. I bought a couple of them. We're gonna play with them." Okay. So it was a Friday. It was near the end of the day, and they came in. Just had them delivered to the office, and started tinkering with them, and just thought they were cool because, it coming from something where you work in emergency management, and under emergency management, you're working in public safety communications. You see the need for, communications in disaster areas, crisis situations, or whenever there is a large density of population in an area that is trying to communicate. You see that normal networks just can't support that traffic.
Mm.
So you have to look at alternative means. I'm also a licensed amateur radio operator. I have been since 2018. I've helped out with, emergency communications with that, where even normal public safety networks have failed. To where the only way for, County A and County B to talk was through something that's not one of their normal routes of handling traffic.
Okay.
So that took off, and we started looking at, planning out what can we do, because we work in downtown Savannah. It's a moderate sized urban area. Not a lot of tall buildings. I think we have a lot of 5, 6, maybe 7-story buildings, but nothing really tall in downtown Savannah. There's a couple of very tall buildings, 1 or 2, and we're lucky enough that someone before us had gotten into Meshtastic and had actually put a solar node up on top of one of those buildings.
Interesting.
And so we started communicating with them, and people started coming out of the woodwork, and we're like, oh, there's a community behind this. And then Josh shows up, and everything went downhill from there.
Most definitely. Yeah, I definitely threw myself into it. I don't I go nickname Chaos, obviously, for a good reason. I'm pretty chaotic. Working night shift, I don't know that I'm going to be around exactly at the same time as everybody else. So I try to get things done quick and everything.
How close is the show The Pit to your reality?
Pose that question again. I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear it.
There's a show right now on HBO. All the rage. I'm a fan. It's called The Pit. Supposedly the most realistic medical show ever made. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Okay, damn.
I'm really not into many of the medical things because probably with the heredity thing, my dad always pointed. He's an electrician, electronical engineer by trade, and he always, whenever we watched a movie, pointed everything out that was wrong with the way things were going in as far as in a movie. Oh no, they wouldn't do that. No, they wouldn't do that. And I think I got that trait from them. And so anytime I sit down with a medical, whether it be a series or movie, I'm always like, nah, that's not how they do it. Said he really isn't doing chest compressions there. You know that, this, that, and the other. So unfortunately, don't know if it's
Mhm.
anything like the reality, but I know that it's probably missing a couple of key features like most of them.
Oh, okay. Because I'm none the wiser. I know my sister in law, she's a surgeon, and she's like, man, this show is so realistic. And I'm like, well, if you're saying that, then I know I'm not
There's
watching something that's full of shit.
ability.
So,
Yeah, I really wish I barely have time to do what I do sometimes, but yeah, I'll have to look into that one and see. I'll give
thank
you
you.
a call back.
Thank you both for taking care of the public, by the way. That's it deserves some respect. So I want to
Yeah.
throw Meshtastic on the screen. Let's take a look
Okay.
at it. All right. So this is mesh. Ugh, my lips, my tongue's not working. This is Meshtastic. For everyone who is unfamiliar, myself, I'm finding it out just right now. Um, it looks kind of neat. I mean, it's open source, right? So
Right.
that means free for anyone that doesn't know what that means.
It means
It
that
looks
there's a lot
fantastic.
of people working on it too. Everybody's kind of got their hands in it, and it works into what it becomes is what everyone puts into it.
That is absolutely true. Jesse knows I'm not like the biggest fan of open source tech. People hate me for it. They're like, this guy, the Bitcoin podcast, I want open source. It's just like sometimes it's annoying to work in. That's just my thing. When you're working in open source, it's like can
There
be
are
tough.
limitations to it, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's
You
anything.
can't really organize
Obviously,
people. It's tough to
right?
organize people.
Convincing people
So
is the hardest thing to do, especially when you think you've got the best route to do things. You've got to convince every single person in that crowd, and so it is a slow go. But one of the greatest things about open source is also it gets you out of your element kind of thing. It allows you to have to think about others and the way that they are doing things. And I'm one of my creeds, one of my beliefs is that we should all always try to understand, no matter what other side. We need to give communication to everyone so that we can all kind of understand. Even if we can't come to a complete understanding, we should at least know where everybody's at and understand that we're not all going to be the same, nor should we be. And that's one of the reasons why I think I enjoy open source. And I also like to poke people a little bit to help them figure out things. I'm a poke the dragon type of person sometimes.
chaotic good. That's what someone would say.
Yeah.
So going back to Meshtastic, look, so we got long range, LoRa technology, which I assume LoRa means long range because, big brain over here. LoRa technology enables communication over several kilometers, not bad. AES 256 encryption, which Google's going to crack in what they said 3 years. No, sorry, that just dropped today, by the way. Google said, yeah, we're going to break the world in 3 years, so get ready. All right.
That
Works
sounds
without
good.
cell towers, Wi-Fi, or internet connectivity. Okay. Apple apps, Android app, web client, everything you need.
Yeah,
It could
and
probably
no,
run on
it's
Atari.
a testing based program and protocol. It's not you're not getting into your voice and everything like that. It's basically just a simple text, short burst of information. It can do all of the different temperature readings and things like that that everybody pushes through it on Internet of Things. And it's mainly used to do that, or was, and that's where everybody finally said, hey, let's actually make some good use of these cheap little radios so we can get sorted. And it's got a wide base of individuals that are making things and trying to get them all up.
So that's something that Jesse just let me know. Kind of as his internet is kind of shit in the bed, he was like, originally this kind of mesh network stuff was for Internet of Things.
Yep.
Yep, right.
And do you guys still use it for that original intent? Like, I have a mesh network in my house, right? And there's this Internet of Things network, and I put all the devices on it. And it's cool. Like, I never really knew like that's what the technology it was using. I just
So-
was like, oh, this is for my stuff. So
LoRa originally came out as not as a mesh. It was meant for, say you had a stream or a river you wanted to keep an eye on the level of. You would have a low powered node set up, out there along the stream or multiple streams, or say you wanted to monitor the temperature, humidity, anything you needed for low bandwidth, semi-regular communications. So a lot of these smart power meters, from the way I understand in my research that I've done, for your house, these smart power meters all communicate through a type of LoRa protocol.
interesting. Okay.
Does that mean we can start using these for our mesh?
I wish.
Give it to Google; they'll break it.
Interesting. So is this
One of the
coalition?
reasons why this podcast in particular is interesting is because in my perspective is to try to get them to share their the reasons why they joined and why they started participating in this, because these type of networks, they benefit from a lot of people being active, like they were saying. And it's also I think um, possible for people, um, especially in our industry, to be able to contribute resources, whether that's grants or whether that's some sort of like combination of like the logos, what do they call them, the circles, so that
Circles?
people
Yep.
can actually participate. Yeah, so I think there's like a lot of cross like positive cross collaboration that can probably happen.
Absolutely. The one of the things with the coalition, what we're trying to do is get everybody kind of on the same protocols within the area to allow us all. Of course, there's a wide spectrum of radio waves that you can use through the LoRa bands, and if you're not all on the same band, then you're not going to be communicating with each other. So we wanted to provide a way to get everybody together and kind of bring a protocol to an area, and then of course bring knowledge and resources for those individuals. We've broken up the area of Georgia into, I believe it's 9 different regions, kind of followed along some of the same emergency protocol stuff that they have in Georgia. And we're setting up those regions with directors or coordinators to plan their stuff locally. And as we see more and more people within those areas, it's that one shares a node and an understanding of it with the next and grows it and grows it. We were able to place a node up in Cochrane, Georgia, about 800 feet in the air, on one of the radio towers up there, and we were getting people connecting to it through in the Macon area, and then of course on the nights with great bounces going on. I think they got it all the way up in Augusta, a little bit of the signal, and so as we get more and more of that infrastructure stuff, you'll find individuals that'll understand and need that. Our desire is to get that infrastructure out there and help individuals that can. We've been doing so with our own time and efforts and limited resources ourselves, and would love to have more individuals that have the ability to help in that infrastructure route. We've got I was up in Warner Robins. We had an event where we had a local event, and we had a group of about 5 people, and we discussed different things on how they could bring it into the city and help individuals within that leadership of the city understand what it is and how it could benefit the city itself. And we want to have the time and resources to bring that understanding to them, because it could be a great benefit for all local communities to have during a time of crisis. If it's already set up and everybody's already understanding how to use it, that would take little seminars here and there, little build classes on understanding it, and little by little we're able to do that. I've got another high node that we're planning on somewhere up in the Augusta area, hopefully before the end of the year. And now, of course, North Georgia in the mountainous area, they're getting mountaintops out, and they have done tremendous work there. If you have the ability, you can pull up on what's the best map site to pull up and see all the nodes? Is Meshtastic got a decent one?
You can go to our map to see the state of
There
Georgia.
you go.
Florida, and
And that's map.gamesh.net, and that's mapgeorgiamesh.net, and it'll show you kind of the nodes of everybody that's reporting and connecting to everything. And it's grown almost exponentially this year. We've gone from a group of where were we at when we first started Coalition? A little over 100 maybe, and we got to 500 by April. We started, I think, in November or December?
I don't remember. Time flies when you're having fun.
It does. And we've got.
Looks like you got quite a few now.
Yeah, we continue to grow too on a daily basis. And anybody that is in the area is welcome to it. We also accept foreigners as well, individuals from the other states. We're not too biased, but our efforts are focused in Georgia as far as for getting.
Look, you got some Floridians down here, some Carolinians over here.
So they're all, and as you go in closer, you'll keep seeing the different nodes. And what it is we've got individuals in Florida that have family in Georgia, and want that connection with them, and we're trying to get them all where they have that ability, and providing that security is really been a great thing. One thing I wish we could do is get a little bit better understanding with local officials, and having them understand exactly what it is that this can provide a community, because it does become something of a fail-safe whenever all the other networks go down. It provides that extra web that's there to communicate when needed.
So if you want to see an interesting view, go over to your little hamburger menu in the top right. Change the nodes from clustered to all.
Oh, okay.
That breaks everything out of the clusters. And right now, if you look, you see the little green dots on the map. Those are nodes that are connected to the internet. That CF58 that you were looking at is, in fact, in my office.
Oh, that one right there?
Yep, that is in my office in downtown Savannah. So what we're doing right now is we're using the internet to bridge these micro meshes together. Because until we get the infrastructure together
Ooh.
to take and bridge these large gaps, because there's a lot of Georgia that's rural farmland. Until we have the infrastructure in place to do that, you could have isolated meshes that'll just never talk to each other. But part of the whole spiel behind the Mesh Coalition was to take and bring everyone together. And so we've gone through and selected people that have, decent locations, or, some people that only have like one node that travel that still want to be part of the mesh, to have logins to MQTT, which is what's used to bridge the traffic, which falls back into there's another bit of IoT technology that's being used for mesh. Because MQTT, I don't know a lot about it. I know enough to get it working and to break things. From what I understand, was originally used for like smart devices, for allowing lights, sensors, doors, just things to be able to effectively communicate on like a local network without having to rely on normal network traffic.
Interesting. I was just about to ask, like, what is MQTT? What does that mean? But thank you for quasi clearing that up. I appreciate that. Oh, shout out to Mr. Liam Cottle, who built this mesh map. It's not bad. Man, your office looks like it's right there on the river right there.
Yep.
He's definitely got a river view.
I think my office is 3 blocks from the river, from River Street.
Right on the river there.
Oh,
I get the Creole when I talk about my rivers.
It
looks like you got one person
right there
in
near
Cincinnati.
that, right?
Yep.
So,
oh wait, there was a Cincinnati node. It went away. It was here. Oh well.
So the weird thing is some of these nodes may not have their actual position, because you can go into your app, say you don't want to, share as you're traveling down the interstate. You can set it to a static position, or say you have like a repeater or something that it's never going to move. You just want someone to know, hey, there's a repeater here. You set a static position in it, and it never updates. But another thing is the map you were looking at only shows nodes that have reported their position. There's 500 and something on the map, I think. 658. And so far, the MQTT server through our ingest nodes is seeing at least 1,038 nodes.
Mm-hmm.
Be that Georgia, South Carolina, Florida, and Alabama.
It's good that you only have to give your location once. Like, not everybody wants everyone to know their location. Me, I only want Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google to know my location, and they're pretty good at finding that out.
And the government and all the all the peoples. Yeah, no, and actually this this is also just giving a generalized location for those that are a little worried about that. You don't have to give your location at all, but if you do, it only broadcasts it in a generalized area. I think it's somewhere around like 2 mile radius that it puts it in.
You can set it.
It's a little more secure and
that's pretty good.
And you
that's
do
really
have
good.
the ability correct too. So
Okay. Jesse, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there once like this thought that you could use Ethereum to like you over the mesh network and send messages over a mesh network using the Ethereum network? I think that's like not. Am I just making that
I
shit up?
mean,
I feel like that's real.
some Bitcoiners were using like ham radio or something, I think, for broadcasting UTXO transactions.
Yeah, there's this way,
I do,
way. Go ahead.
I do believe that, yeah, some of that has been, and I know that they do have a couple of translation softwares that can push it to other platforms like what is that, Simple X or something. So I know that there's
Oh
a
yeah,
couple of
Simplex.
cross-platform
Yeah.
apps as well.
Mm. Well, it's a
And one of
very
the
neat
great
passion that you guys have.
open source allows them to, if it's not there, then all you got to do is find a good knowledgeable tech guy that you can have in your back seat programming things for you.
Is there any like identifiers or like cool like culture moments that have happened with setting up this mesh network and this coalition? Like I don't like what I mean, like you know how Jeep drivers have like duckies in their window or whatever, and like different kinds of people have different like, oh, you can see someone like, oh, they're in the mesh network, like I'm gonna go talk to them about their node or you know.
Yeah, you do start seeing a couple of decals here and there that individuals have, and of course there's the Telltale radio node. A lot of people have been putting a couple boxes on top of their car to send broadcast a mesh signal from it as well. Most everybody has their carry devices, and then your node can also alert you anytime it connects to a new node. So you get to hear that usually distinguished beep and try to find someone new. Everybody names their nodes a little bit different as well, and so there's quite a few different novel nodes out there that can be found. And as the community's grown, one of the benefits I found from it was it also it's that gateway into radio and amateur radio. I myself, like I said, was not amateur radio licensed. And time I found Ken and Matt, I kept getting poked by them. When are you going to take your radio license? When are you? And so now I've taken and got my general license and I'm studying for my extra license as well. So it's been definitely a big community thing. You have to kind of push some of the radio folks away because they get into that POTA stuff and all those weird names that I'm not that familiar with yet. But they even drug me down to what they call Hamcation down in Florida to enjoy. They get all of the amateur radio folks down there to buy, sell, trade, and all the big vendors come in and show you the new things. We actually had the opportunity to go down with one of the mesh vendors that's local up here in Atlanta, Maker Nova, and help him sell some of his gear and meet other Meshtastic folks in the Orlando area. So, and we've got the community down in Orlando that we've become friends with as well. And so there's tons of community within it, and then of course the opportunities for outstretching community into the radio area as well. One of the great things I like about Meshtastic is, however, that you don't have to have that amateur radio license to operate it. Most everything else, when you're talking about making your own radios, you have to actually get that license and understand it and everything. If you operate in the 1 watt spectrum on Meshtastic, then you don't have to have an amateur radio license. That means that you can communicate with your family that doesn't want to take that extra test and everything. So that's one of the great things about it being, emergency use. You can have them practicing before that emergency. Ham radio can be used during an emergency by anybody, but most anybody won't know how to press that talk button because they haven't gotten used to it. But with Meshtastic, they've got that the radio in hand and are practicing it with it in normal use. So it provides that, and it's an extra fallback. You got to have quite a few different routes if you're looking in the emergency area. Everything's going to fall through except for one thing, and so you have to have multiple different decision things that can help you out.
Nice. Is there any as far as it goes back to cultural moments, is there any kind of I don't know, games or anything that unique that happens that on the Mesh network that's yeah, we're playing chess, me and this guy, one move at a time. We're playing mesh chess on Meshtastic.
There are a couple of games. I haven't myself gotten into them that can be played over Mesh.
There you go. That's where the people come from. Gotta have games.
There's definitely that ability, but I haven't gotten into it yet myself. Not because I'm not that great at chess, but just because I keep doing other things. I was trying to think. There's also the ATAC side of Mesh networks, which is the ability for groups that are, doing things like paintball or whatever that can get all together on a Mesh network of themselves and plan out their strategies and things like that. And it's used within that. I think it's ATAC, which I'm not too familiar with myself, but it allows them to broadcast their positions and other communication data as well, which is one of the cool things. It could be used for search and rescue. A lot of things that are ham radio sourced through APR and things like that can also be done through this Meshtastic and Mesh network. Where they report position and incident and can plan through that emergency.
That is some serious paintballing. If you are using a Mesh network to broadcast your position, that is intense right there. That's much different than the paint.
Those are the ones I don't get involved with because I definitely would be scared of them.
Yeah, don't mess around and break a rule out there.
Do you guys have any efforts to? You were saying that you work in a hospital setting. Have you talked to different counties to see if they have any sort of grants program to help schools in the particular district where they're from maybe get more acquainted with mesh network technology?
So I've reached out to a couple of individuals in some tech schools around, and we got feelers and haven't been able to get anything planned in stone from them, but there are continued efforts. One of the greatest things I've done so far is I've been able to go around to a couple of other ham groups in different counties and teach them all about it because, which you'd think they'd know everything about radio already, but this is new technology to them. So it's kind of like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. So, okay, well, let's set this up. Let's show you what you need and everything. And so in future, as we grow, we are looking to do community events of, maybe creating nodes as well as teaching individuals how to do. Currently, we are just a coalition. We don't have a 501c or anything like that, and do everything with our own personal caches. And it's been an effort that's worked that way, and we're trying to keep from having to push money into it. In a way, I don't know. I'm not that familiar with those routes myself, honestly. And while while I know that they're there, I just haven't ever really made use of them myself as much as I probably could have. So I have set up a few GoFundMe's for local node placement and builds and things like that, and those have gone pretty well. But those were done personally. As a coalition, we were trying to get everybody on the same page and vote for changes and everything like that. So it does slow that route down a little bit, but also allows us to, make use of what we have in ways that we wouldn't have thought we'd be able to.
Yeah, I see you guys have 3D printers, and I see you guys are 3D printing like the enclosures for the
Oh, yeah.
microcontrollers. That was pretty cool.
I myself created a just to brag, a little node myself to go through. I printed in quite a few different colors. It's with a little ring to tie up and hoist into a tree to get it. Obviously, the higher you get things, the more signal you'll get. So I make those and sell those, and those have helped me get a little bit more money towards helping others out as well. And let's see, the node that we put in Cochrane, we put together one of the big builds with a cavity filter in it to keep, where it filters all the noise out that would be and everything. And we had individuals help out with that as well. So we also have a great friend in Maker Nova that has helped us out in getting gear to places that we need it. He is a 3D printer buff himself, and that's actually where I got my 3D printer from. He gave it to me because he had it. He was about to scrap it, and he said, "Yeah, I got an old one you can have." And so I started printing here. He has a farm of about 100 different machines. Is that about right, Ken?
I think it's actually, I think he has over 100 machines, but they're all the same printer.
That's a lot.
So, and he prints not just for this stuff, but prints a ton of other things. But he also purchases the radio stuff to where he can sell them as well online. If it's okay to plug, MakerNovaIO is where he sells.
Please.
That.
Mm-hmm.
He has a great setup there to get started with Meshtastic, and even we've got some of us involved in his business as well. Again, we helped out down in Orlando with him selling gear, and it was fun just to help people understand what mesh was. And so he gave us that opportunity, and of course, we're extra hands for him to bring all the equipment and everything. So we were there the night before soldering batteries together for him to get everything ready to go for selling and everything. So it was fun opportunity.
Well,
Nice.
We got lots of ambition and lots to do. And I've still got a 17-mile stretch of land that I've got to throw some nodes up on between my house and where I work, that I keep saying I'm going to get to. And I keep selling the nodes that I make instead of throwing them up in a tree. So little by little, I'm getting the mesh around my local area, but I'm also taking and contributing to the mesh world, in the Georgia area. I've actually had the opportunity to sell a couple over in California and up in the Massachusetts area as well. So it's been fun to learn these new things.
nice, man.
Nice.
Well, thank you.
If you had one
Go ahead,
message that you could give, if you had one message that you could give to our listeners in terms of how to get started, how much does it cost, Like, where do they go? Maybe what website do they go to just, get their hands dirty? Maybe separately from this podcast, I can ask you if you guys have like some sort of hands-on tutorial like videos that you guys can give to us, and then we can stitch them in into this podcast or a separate episode that's specifically about how to build a Meshtastic node. We'd like to do what we can to support you guys.
That'd be great. Personally, we don't have anything set up yet. We have talked about getting a couple of things together. Ken, has Matt gotten any further on that?
Not as far as I'm aware.
All right, so we definitely need to kick ourselves in the tail for getting something up to do that. There are tons of YouTube videos for searching Meshtastic. There's also the other mesh protocol, which is MeshCore, and there's continually more that are coming out as well. We are focused on Meshtastic because of the need for growth is easier in Meshtastic. MeshCore is more of a structured set out to where you have to make sure different nodes have different responsibilities, and in the long term it's a better protocol for getting communication further. But the Meshtastic is where you definitely want to start in understanding it. Anybody that would like to can obviously come to our Discord and reach out, and we can answer questions. And although we are the Georgia Statewide Mesh Coalition, anybody that wants to come in and learn from us or learn to us, teach us, is welcome to come in and say hello, ask questions or whatever. Ultimately, our goals are Georgia, but I think that we can definitely get you also towards the local areas, because there are quite a few other Discords that are out there set up to do that. We also have a web page that is set, www.gamesh.net, and that'll give you the links to Discord, Facebook, and I think we've got a WordPress as well. And those are ever changing. If you know of any good tech individuals that want to help in coding and putting together that kind of stuff, Ken is always looking for individuals out with that. I myself do not have the background, but I try my best. And I created that page through AI, and so that's why it's as simple as it can be. But as we go forward, we're looking to make something even better. So
yeah, well, it might be neat if you guys can not coexist. What's the word I'm looking for? Collaborate with the geocaching community.
Absolutely. That's something
that would be
that
interesting.
I've talked about myself as well, because that would be a neat combination there.
I got way into geocaching back in around 2013 because I was dating this chick who was way into geocaching. And that's how far that went. I don't know that chick anymore. But we were geocaching in Vegas, and I was like, we're in Vegas.
To the backwoods. That's probably what it really was.
So she got mad. It's a true story. She got pissed because we were in Vegas geocaching, and she was like, why aren't you using the geocaching app? And I was like, because Pokemon Go is more fun and it's the same thing. And she was like, no, it's not. No, we got in a huge argument in Vegas. It was a true story. But anyways, thank you guys for coming by. We have a question we ask every guest that comes on our show. It's a trademark question. It's not trademark, but it should be. In 10 words or less, can you define mesh networks? I'll let you go first, Josh.
Communication done right. Enough said.
Okay. The swag approach, he said. I'm going with the swag approach. All right, Ken, what do you got?
What was the question again? My I was picking fun at everyone's internet troubles at the beginning, and my internet keeps dropping out for a couple seconds.
In 10 words or less, can you define mesh network?
Resilient communications without public infrastructure. Yeah, there's 5. That works.
There we go. A 3-word response and a 5-word response. Not too shabby, gentlemen. Well, thank you very much for your time. And thank you for kind of educating our audience.
Will get back a hold of me. I can definitely keep talking.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and for those of you listening, you can join the Discord. Hopefully, these gentlemen will join our Discord. And if they do, you can talk to them more about mesh, and you join their Discord, where you'll probably learn the most about mesh networking. I don't know, Jess, we got anything else?
Maybe my signature question is typically, is what you do actually difficult? And you can interpret that however you'd like.
Ooh.
So I'll answer that with I don't really know exactly what it is I do, other than exist within chaos. So most anybody could probably fill my spot, but I chose to fill it this time, and I'm trying my best to do my best with what I've got.
Nice.
All right. What about you, Kenneth?
Ooh, the hardest part of what I do right now with the mesh is it's a lot of people that are wanting to be involved, but the second you actually approach them to be involved, they no longer want to be involved.
Okay. The open source
It's-
woes.
Yeah, the throughput it goes for that's a southern thing too, where everyone says that they'll be there, but they aren't whenever it comes time.
Mm.
So it does.
It's not
does
just a
take.
southern thing. That's a lot of regions do that. It's a Midwest thing.
That's a good
That's-
point. Yeah.
Yeah. Midwest nice is what they call it. I call it. I have a lewd term. I call it being grin fucked. Like they're like, yeah, sure, yeah. And then when it comes down to it, you were just grinning me, weren't you? So, anyways, well, thank you guys for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
Play the outro.